r/AskReddit. Scientists of Reddit. What is the most crazy concept that may actually be possible in the future? In my field, there has been a lot of work towards rebuilding organs. Essentially, take a diseased organ of any kind, decellularize it, remove all the individual cells, and leaving only the extracellular matrix scaffold, repopulate with healthy stem cells, and let that scaffold direct the cells and rebuild that end-stage kidney into a healthy kidney, and get off dialysis, or rebuild a heart riddled with heart disease, maybe regrow an entire limb lost by a soldier or someone in a horrific accident. Quite a ways and a few Nobel Prizes from that, but a group in our field has already done this with a pig pancreas, and while it didn't last very long ultimately, it was an important first step. Polymer engineer here. There are a lot of projects looking into how to create a ferromagnetic polymer. In other words, keep your eyes peeled for magnetic plastics in the future. Cultured meat. Being able to grow meat from cells in a controlled environment so we won't need animals anymore. Scientists have managed to produce a burger in the lab, but it's currently too expensive for mass production, although this might become normal in 10-20 years. This has the potential to free up our depleting resources, that is, land, water, currently dedicated to meat production. And growing meat in such a setting could also resolve many foodborne illnesses. However, so far the technology would only be able to create minced meat and not slabs of meat, as it would require vascularization of the cells. Harvesting ice in the asteroid belt. I just had a funny image of them towing back the chunks, but the thrusters keep melting it. I was pretty floored when I learned that there may be stable super heavy elements in the island of stability, since everything is made from about 100 elements. The idea that we might get new ones is super exciting. Flying like a bird on Titan. This may actually be possible in the future. It's nearly possible right now. We almost have the technology to do it. We just need to get there. Titan, largest moon of Saturn, second largest moon in the solar system, 10th largest body in the solar system, has a dense atmosphere 1.4 times Earth's atmospheric pressure, and a lower gravity, 0.14 g. Earth is 1 g, so if you could get there right now, with a moderately better spacesuit and some crude relatively small wings, you could flap your arms and soar like a bird. Also, there are probably seas of hydrocarbons on the surface, and overall Titan has more liquid hydrocarbons than all of the crude oil and natural gas on Earth, so that's cool. Edit. As was correctly pointed out, there are some issues with retaining heat when inside the atmosphere of Titan. I've added in the italics to reflect this. Hygiene hypothesis. People start getting very ill because of being too clean. Nuclear fusion. With the world continuously growing towards climate change, rising temperatures, melting ice caps, and smog hovering above cities, there we find a need for clean, powerful, and inexpensive energy, and the only completely clean high-yielding energy without continuous maintenance is nuclear fusion. The only starting materials are hydrogen atoms, but the setback occurs at the requirement for temperatures over 2 million F and 1 million atoms of pressure. No nuclear waste, or any waste at all. 4x the energy output of nuclear fission, and cheap starting materials will save the energy crisis on Earth and remove fossil fuels from our electricity production altogether. Whichever country harnesses it first will rule the world. Edit. I know fusion reactors do actually produce some radiation, but it isn't like fission where byproducts must be stored underground to keep them from causing issues. LFTRs are not ever going to be able to accomplish something close to what nuclear fusion will. I think close to 80% of the radioactive waste has a half-life of less than a day, which is not easy to manage. I'd much rather manage helium gas than the remaining isotopes that any kind of fission will leave behind. I agree low pressure reactions are cost effective, but won't produce energy at the scale fusion would. I think I meant to milk, not F. Printing viable organs on demand. Had a vision of driving to Walmart at 11 PM to get a cartridge for my HP organ printer because I'm out of organ juice and my kid just told me he had an organ assignment due tomorrow. Being able to record and replay your dreams. Scientists in Japan have been working on a machine that would allow this, which I think would be pretty awesome since I would love to replay some of my dreams. We can fit a terabytes of data in the palm of our hand right now. Nanorobots which can build anything given the raw materials and blueprints, including other nanorobots, is not so far-fetched. Medical technology may soon be able to incubate a human from conception to birth. We are getting much better at finding near-Earth-sized planets in our galaxy. Now imagine sending human DNA, self-replicating nanorobots, and the entirety of human knowledge on a smaller ship to an Earth-like planet. Once there, the nanorobots are programmed to rebuild civilization. If we find thousands of Earth-like planets and send ships to each of them, then we can almost guarantee success if the plan is solid. I call this blowing our load all over the Milky Way. I'm always a fan of the spaceships powered by detonating nuclear warheads behind them. Epigenetics. Way too broad of a topic with too many unknowns at the moment, but think of it as software that runs the hardware that is our genes' DNA and allows organisms to adapt to environments as they change, or guides the repair of damage to the body. So in the future, imagine if we are able to just write epigenetic software programs for specific diseases, ailments, injuries, or environments that tell our genes exactly which ones, more specifically the proteins they produce and the function those proteins do, needs to be turned on, off, and in what amounts to allow maximum adaptation or quick repair, like in the Matrix where they download a program to make you suddenly know something mentally. You could do the same for the body and allow it to know how to use its own hardware to adapt to new environments or to quickly fix diseases or damage. Full-on cybernetics like you often see in sci-fi. Right now we can make rudimentary mechanical limbs that can respond to muscle contractions in the limb stump in order to move. But as the limbs lack any sort of tactile response, you cannot use them effectively without directly viewing them while you use it. We will likely someday be able to send data from the limb to the brain as opposed to just the other way around. Maybe even eventually having seamless robotic prosthetics that function as good as or even better than the real limb. Chocolate teleportation. This is misleading. It wouldn't be the same chocolate, but an exact replica of the chocolate created on the other side. Obviously, this raises all kinds of ethical questions, like what really defines a piece of candy. Geneticist here. With the invention of CRISPR technology, we can specifically mutate any piece of DNA that we want in a cell. This could include the HIV genome that's integrated into a person, reversing critical genetic mutations, mutating crop genomes without viruses. It's life-changing and science-changing, and it's an exciting time to do science. We will one day learn how to mimic a human brain on a computer and download a human consciousness onto it. It can then be given sensory inputs and physically exist as a machine. All of the fundamental building blocks are there already. Scientists have created simulated brains with about 1-2 neurons. The human brain has about 100 B, so we are a long ways off. But we will get there. Now imagine this. It's very difficult to send a human to another star system. There are speed limits and problems like radiation and body deterioration. You then have to worry about the atmosphere and sources of food on exoplanets. But we can send androids, communication devices, solar panels, and 3D printers. So we send a single craft to another star system at incredible speeds. It will land on the nearest available rocky exoplanet. The androids, preloaded with a human consciousness, are powered on and begin working, setting up a manufacturing facility to gather raw materials and generate new machines and androids. A data store of thousands more minds are loaded onto the androids as they come online. Additional spacecraft are built to send to other star systems. We then beam data with high-powered lasers, providing a steady stream of new human minds, as well as improved technology schematics. Humans can now colonize the galaxy. I've yet to have an argument convince me that biological immortality is outside the realm of medical science. Aging is a biological construct that we have seen can be reversed in certain organisms. Why not take that a step further? I think at some point, teleportation of some sort will be feasible. Perhaps not for living things, but certainly for inanimate things like furniture, algae, glassware, etc. What about chocolate? Sure. Bro, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content. It's free and that's a great price.